You have been carrying tension in your back for so long that it feels like it is part of you. But Buddhist monks know something that modern doctors are only beginning to understand. The pain in your body is not just in your body. It lives in your mind, in your thoughts, in the way you breathe without realizing it. When you stop fighting against the tension and learn to observe it with full awareness, something extraordinary happens. Your body begins to release what it has been holding for months or even years. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, you will learn ancient Buddhist techniques that teach your body to release tension layer by layer, breath by breath. It is not about forcing relaxation. It is about allowing it to happen naturally through conscious presence. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your like and comment what part of the world you are watching from. Get comfortable and relax. Let us begin. Have you ever noticed how back pain seems to consume your entire attention, making it difficult to focus on anything else? This is where mindfulness meditation offers a remarkably effective approach that thousands have found helpful. Mindfulness meditation for back pain is not about eliminating pain completely, but rather changing your relationship with it in ways that can significantly reduce suffering. The fundamental principle behind this approach is learning to observe pain sensations without automatically tensing up or mentally amplifying them. When we experience back pain, we typically have two levels of discomfort happening simultaneously. First, there's the primary pain, the actual physical sensation in your back. Then there's what Buddhist practitioners call secondary suffering, all the mental reactions, stress, anxiety, and additional tension we add to the experience. Mindfulness helps separate these two aspects, allowing you to experience the physical sensation without the added layer of mental anguish. The practice begins quite simply. You find a comfortable position that supports your back. This might be sitting in a chair, lying down, or any position that feels sustainable. Then you direct your attention to your breathing, establishing a steady rhythm that helps anchor your awareness in the present moment. Once your attention is somewhat stable, you begin to notice any sensations in your back area without trying to change them. This non-judgmental awareness is key. You're simply observing, not wishing things were different. What makes this approach particularly powerful is how it teaches the mind to stop automatically resisting pain. When we feel back pain, our natural tendency is to tense the surrounding muscles, hold our breath, or mentally fight against the sensation. Paradoxically, this resistance often intensifies and prolongs our suffering. Through regular mindfulness practice, you learn to interrupt this automatic cycle of tension and resistance. Several research studies at major universities have documented the effectiveness of mindfulness for chronic pain management. Brain imaging studies show that regular practitioners actually process pain differently at a neurological level, while they still register the sensory component of pain. The emotional and evaluative aspects, the parts that make pain feel so terrible, show reduced activity. One study from the Journal of Neuroscience found that after just 4 days of mindfulness training, participants showed a 40% reduction in pain intensity ratings. The practice becomes more refined as you continue. You might notice that what seemed like one solid block of back pain is actually a constantly changing constellation of sensations, perhaps throbbing in one area, burning in another, and tightness somewhere else. This more nuanced awareness gives you a different relationship with the experience, rather than being overwhelmed by a seemingly permanent condition called "my bad back." You begin to recognize the changing, flowing nature of these sensations. Many practitioners discover that mindfulness creates a sense of spaciousness around the pain. Instead of pain taking up your entire awareness, you begin to notice that there's pain in one area of your back, but perhaps comfort or neutral sensations in other parts of your body. This perspective shift, realizing that pain doesn't define your entire experience, can be tremendously liberating. Another valuable aspect of mindfulness for back pain is learning to distinguish between helpful pain signals and unhelpful suffering. Pain often serves as an important messenger, alerting us that something needs attention. Mindfulness doesn't ask you to ignore these important signals, but rather to hear the message without adding unnecessary suffering through rumination, catastrophizing, or physical tension. For practical application, many people find it helpful to start with short sessions of 5 to 10 minutes, gradually extending the practice time as it becomes more comfortable. Consistency is more important than duration. Practicing for 10 minutes daily will likely yield better results than an hour-long session once a week. Some find it beneficial to practice at the same time each day, perhaps first thing in the morning or before bed, helping to establish a sustainable routine. As mindfulness skills develop, they extend beyond formal meditation sessions into daily life. You might catch yourself tensing your shoulders while driving and consciously release that tension. You may notice how certain thoughts about your back pain trigger fear or frustration, and gently redirect your attention to the present moment. These real-time applications transform mindfulness from an isolated practice into a practical tool for navigating daily challenges. It's worth noting that mindfulness for back pain isn't about forcing yourself to relax or achieve some special state. Sometimes people become frustrated when they can't make the pain go away through meditation. The approach is much more subtle. It's about changing your relationship with pain rather than trying to force it away through mental effort. For many practitioners, an unexpected benefit emerges over time. The same mindfulness skills that help with physical pain prove equally valuable for dealing with emotional pain and daily stresses. The capacity to be present with difficult sensations without being overwhelmed by them transfers to many life situations, from work pressure to relationship challenges. While mindfulness doesn't replace appropriate medical care for back problems, many physicians now recognize its value as a complementary approach. Some pain clinics and physical therapy practices actually incorporate mindfulness training alongside conventional treatments, recognizing that addressing both the physical and mental aspects of pain produces better outcomes. The beauty of this approach lies in its accessibility. It requires no special equipment, can be practiced anywhere, and is completely within your control. While it takes patience and consistent practice to develop these skills, the potential benefits extend far beyond pain reduction into greater overall well-being and emotional resilience. Buddhist perspectives on physical suffering. Our relationship with physical pain goes far beyond simple sensation. It encompasses our entire outlook on suffering and what it means to live in a human body. Buddhist traditions have been exploring this territory for over 2,500 years, developing nuanced perspectives that remain remarkably relevant today, especially for those dealing with back pain or chronic tension. The Buddha himself recognized physical suffering as a fundamental part of human experience. In fact, the very first of his core teachings, the First Noble Truth, acknowledges that suffering, dukkha, is an inescapable aspect of life. This might initially sound pessimistic, but there's something profoundly liberating about starting with this honest recognition. Rather than expecting a pain-free existence and then feeling frustrated when reality doesn't match this expectation, Buddhist perspectives begin with acknowledging the reality of physical discomfort as part of being human. This acceptance doesn't mean passive resignation to pain. Instead, it establishes a realistic foundation from which to work skillfully with physical suffering. The Buddha made an important distinction that has profound implications for anyone experiencing back pain or body tension: the difference between primary pain and optional suffering. Primary pain refers to the unavoidable physical sensations that arise when body tissues are stressed, injured, or aging. Optional suffering refers to all the ways we mentally resist, fight against, or catastrophize about these sensations. Consider how this applies to back pain. When your back hurts, that's primary pain, an unpleasant but natural signal from your body. But when you add thoughts like, "This is terrible," "I can't stand it," or "This will never end," or "My life is ruined because of my back," you're creating layers of optional suffering on top of the physical sensation. Buddhist practice aims to help us recognize and reduce this optional suffering while responding appropriately to the primary pain. One of the most valuable Buddhist concepts for working with physical discomfort is impermanence, anicca. This principle recognizes that everything in our experience, including painful sensations, is constantly changing, arising and passing away. When you're in the grip of intense back pain, it often feels solid, permanent and unchanging, but close. Mindful attention reveals that even intense pain fluctuates from moment to moment, changing in intensity, quality, and exact location. Recognizing the changing nature of pain sensations helps counter the mind's tendency to project pain infinitely into the future. I'll always feel this way. This shift in perspective can significantly reduce anxiety and hopelessness that often accompany chronic physical conditions. Rather than seeing your back pain as a fixed, permanent entity, you begin to experience it as a flowing process of sensations that come and go with varying intensity. The Buddhist concept of non-self, anatta, offers another helpful perspective. This teaching invites us to notice how we tend to identify strongly with our pain. Making it deeply personal, my terrible back pain becomes part of how we define ourselves. The practice involves observing pain without immediately claiming it as a central part of your identity. While this might sound abstract, the psychological effect can be powerful. There's a significant difference between thinking I am a person with chronic back pain versus there are pain sensations occurring in the body right now. This slight shift in perspective creates some breathing room between your essential awareness and the pain experience. You begin to recognize that while pain is happening, it doesn't define or confine the totality of who you are. Many practitioners report that this perspective shift doesn't make pain disappear, but it does make it significantly more bearable by reducing the emotional amplification that comes with strong identification. Another core Buddhist teaching particularly relevant to physical suffering is dependent origination pratityasamutpada. This principle recognizes that physical sensations don't exist in isolation but arise dependent on numerous interconnected causes and conditions. Applied to back pain, this perspective helps us recognize how physical discomfort connects to posture, movement patterns, emotional states, thought patterns, and lifestyle factors. This interconnected view naturally leads to a more holistic approach to addressing physical suffering. Instead of seeking a single magic cure, the Buddhist approach encourages exploring multiple avenues for working with pain, addressing physical, mental, emotional, and behavioral factors that might contribute to or amplify the experience of discomfort. The Buddhist traditions also offer valuable perspective on the relationship between mind and body. Rather than seeing them as separate systems, Buddhist psychology recognizes their constant interdependence. Thoughts and emotions manifest as physical tension. Physical discomfort influences mental states. This bidirectional relationship means that working with the mind effectively addresses the body, and vice versa. For those experiencing chronic back pain, this mind-body connection becomes particularly evident. Anxiety, frustration, or depression about physical limitations often creates additional muscle tension, which further exacerbates pain. Buddhist practices aim to interrupt this cycle by cultivating mental states that support physical ease, qualities like acceptance, patience, equanimity, and compassion toward one's own struggling body. The Buddhist approach to physical suffering emphasizes meeting pain with awareness rather than aversion. When we're in pain, our natural tendency is to resist and fight against the experience, mentally pushing away what's already happening. Buddhist practice suggests an alternative, turning toward the experience with kind, curious attention. This counterintuitive move often reveals that much of our suffering comes not from the sensation itself, but from our contracted resistance to it. This doesn't mean passively enduring harmful conditions. The Buddha taught the middle way, avoiding both indulgence and harsh asceticism. Applied to back pain, This means neither ignoring important pain signals nor becoming obsessively focused on eliminating all discomfort. Instead, the approach involves wise discernment about when to accept sensations as they are and when action is needed for healing and prevention. For many practitioners, one of the most transformative aspects of Buddhist perspectives on physical suffering is the possibility of finding meaning within the experience of pain itself. Rather than seeing pain solely as an obstacle to be overcome, it becomes a teacher that offers important insights about impermanence, interdependence, and the human condition. This doesn't romanticize suffering, but it does recognize how challenging experiences often become catalysts for deeper understanding and compassion. The Buddhist perspective on physical suffering naturally leads us to explore more specific practices that can help manage back pain and bodily tension. Body scanning is one of the most accessible and effective techniques from the Buddhist tradition that directly addresses physical discomfort while developing deeper body awareness. This practice offers a systematic way to reconnect with your body, especially helpful for those of us living in a culture where we often disconnect from bodily sensations until pain forces us to pay attention. Body scanning involves systematically moving your attention through different regions of your body, observing sensations with curious, non-judgmental awareness. Unlike many physical therapies that focus exclusively on problem areas, this practice covers the entire body, recognizing the interconnected nature of our physical systems. What happens in your lower back, for instance, is often related to patterns of tension in your shoulders, neck, or hips that you might not have noticed. To practice body scanning, you typically begin by finding a comfortable position. Lying down is traditional, but sitting works well for many people with back issues. You start by establishing a sense of the body as a whole, feeling the points of contact with the floor or chair, noticing the overall shape and weight of your body. Then you systematically direct your attention to specific regions, usually beginning with either the feet and moving upward, or the head and moving downward. The key quality you're cultivating is bare attention, simply noticing what's already there without trying to change anything initially. As you direct attention to each area, your feet, ankles, calves, knees, and so on, you're observing whatever sensations are present. These might include warmth, coolness, tingling, pulsing, heaviness, lightness, tension, ease, or even the absence of sensation. There's no right or wrong thing to feel. You're simply developing an inventory of your current bodily experience. What makes this practice particularly valuable for back pain and tension is how it helps identify subtle patterns that contribute to discomfort. Many of us develop unconscious habits of holding tension, perhaps clenching our jaw, tightening our shoulders, or gripping muscles around painful areas. These habitual patterns of tension often operate below our conscious awareness until they've already contributed to pain and discomfort. Regular body scanning develops the perceptual sensitivity to catch these patterns earlier, before they consolidate into more serious problems. The Buddhist term for this quality of attention is sati, mindfulness, combined with sampajanya, clear comprehension. Together, these qualities allow you to not only notice sensations, but understand their significance and relationship to your overall well-being. For example, you might notice during a body scan that tension in your upper back relates to how you're holding your shoulders in response to stress, giving you practical insight into how emotional states manifest physically. One of the most interesting aspects of body scanning is that attention itself becomes a healing force. When you bring kind, curious awareness to areas of tension or discomfort, something remarkable often happens. The body begins to respond with natural relaxation. It's as if contracted tissues finally have permission to release once they've been acknowledged. This doesn't always happen immediately, but regular practitioners report that over time. The simple act of paying attention creates conditions for physical ease to emerge naturally. For those with chronic back pain, body scanning offers an important skill, learning to distinguish between different types of sensations that might all be labeled as pain. When you examine back discomfort closely, you might discover that what you've been calling pain actually consists of multiple sensations, perhaps some sharp sensations in one area, dull, aching in another, and heat or pulsing somewhere else. This more nuanced perception gives you a different relationship with the experience, making it less overwhelming and more workable. The practice also helps balance our attention between areas of discomfort and areas of neutral or pleasant sensation. When we're in pain, our attention naturally fixates on the problematic areas, inadvertently amplifying those sensations while missing the fact that other parts of the body might be feeling perfectly fine. Body scanning cultivates a more balanced awareness that includes both challenging and comfortable sensations, providing a more complete picture of your bodily experience. Many practitioners find it helpful to practice body scanning at different times of day to discover how physical patterns shift in response to daily activities. A scan done first thing in the morning might reveal different tension patterns than one done after work or before bed. These observations provide valuable information about how your daily habits and activities affect your physical well-being, especially regarding back health. The benefits of regular body scanning extend beyond the practice session itself. Over time, you develop what some Buddhist teachers call background awareness, an ongoing peripheral attention to your body even during everyday activities. This might manifest as noticing sooner when you're slouching at your desk, catching tension building in your shoulders while driving, or becoming aware of how emotional stress immediately translates to physical tightness in your back or neck. For maximum benefit, many teachers recommend practicing body scanning for 15 to 20 minutes daily, though even 5 minutes can be valuable for building the habit. The quality of attention matters more than the duration. Approaching the practice with gentle curiosity rather than striving for specific results creates the best conditions for discovering useful insights about your body. As your sensitivity to bodily sensations develops through regular scanning, you'll likely find yourself naturally making micro-adjustments throughout the day, shifting posture, releasing unnecessary tension, and responding to early warning signals before discomfort becomes pronounced. This growing body intelligence becomes an invaluable resource for managing back issues and preventing new problems from developing. Body scanning naturally complements other approaches to back care, including conventional medical treatments, physical therapy, and movement practices. The increased body awareness it develops helps you implement other therapeutic recommendations more effectively and provide more precise feedback to healthcare providers about your condition. Many physical therapists and pain specialists now recognize the value of this mindfulness-based approach and recommend it alongside their traditional interventions. While body scanning helps develop awareness of physical sensations, another Buddhist practice specifically targets the relationship between breathing and physical tension. Breath awareness for tension release offers a direct pathway to influence your nervous system and release chronic muscle tension that contributes to back pain. The breath serves as a perfect bridge between conscious and unconscious bodily processes, allowing you to indirectly influence systems that aren't under direct voluntary control. This practice begins with simply observing your natural breathing pattern without trying to change anything. You might notice whether your breath is deep or shallow, smooth or irregular, primarily in your chest or lower in your abdomen. This initial observation often reveals how breath patterns reflect and reinforce tension states. Shallow, rapid breathing typically accompanies and maintains muscle tension, while slower, deeper breathing supports physical relaxation. The Buddha taught breath awareness, anapanasati, as a foundational practice precisely because of its powerful effects on both body and mind. When you direct sustained, gentle attention to your breathing, several beneficial shifts typically occur. Your breathing naturally begins to deepen and slow down. Your nervous system shifts from sympathetic dominance, fight or flight mode, toward parasympathetic activation, rest and digest mode. Muscle tension begins to release, particularly in the diaphragm, chest, and upper back, areas intimately connected with breathing mechanics. Modern research has confirmed what Buddhist practitioners have known for centuries. Altered breathing patterns are directly linked to chronic pain conditions, especially in the back, neck, and shoulders. Many people with back pain unconsciously hold their breath or breathe in restricted ways when moving or encountering discomfort. This breath holding creates additional muscle tension that exacerbates the original problem. By bringing conscious awareness to breathing, you can interrupt this unhelpful pattern. After establishing basic awareness of your breathing, you can explore more active approaches to using the breath for tension release. One effective technique involves coordinating your awareness with the natural rhythm of inhalation and exhalation. During inhalation, you might bring attention to areas where you feel tension or discomfort. During exhalation, you consciously release and soften that area, letting go of unnecessary holding. This simple coordination, attending on the inhale, releasing on the exhale, leverages the natural relaxation response that accompanies exhalation. You can enhance this effect by extending your exhalations slightly longer than your inhalations. Prolonged exhalation has been shown to increase parasympathetic nervous system activity, promoting deeper states of relaxation. For example, you might breathe in for a count of 3 and out for a count of 5. Though the exact counts matter less than finding a rhythm that feels comfortable and sustainable for your body. Breath awareness becomes particularly valuable during episodes of intense back pain. When pain spikes, our instinctive response is often to hold the breath and brace against the sensation, which unfortunately increases muscle tension and amplifies discomfort. By maintaining conscious connection with your breathing during these challenging moments, you provide your body with an alternative response pattern, breathing with the discomfort rather than tensing against it. For addressing specific areas of back tension, you can practice directed breath awareness, imagining that you're breathing directly into tight or painful regions. While you're not literally moving air into these non-lung tissues, this visualization creates a powerful focus for your attention and often leads to release in the targeted areas. Many practitioners report that chronically tight muscles begin to soften when they imagine breathing directly into and out from these constricted zones. The relationship between breathing and posture offers another avenue for addressing back problems. Restricted breathing often accompanies and reinforces poor postural habits, while fuller breathing naturally encourages a more aligned spine. Simply bringing attention to your breath can spontaneously improve your posture, as full breathing requires more space in your torso and naturally encourages lengthening through your spine. What makes breath awareness particularly accessible is that you can practice it anywhere, anytime, while sitting at your desk, standing in line, driving your car, or lying in bed. Even a few mindful breaths can interrupt patterns of escalating tension before they contribute to back pain. This makes breath awareness an invaluable on-the-spot intervention for managing tension throughout your day. For those who spend long hours at desks or computers, incorporating brief breathing breaks can prevent the buildup of back tension that comes from sustained positions. Setting a timer to remind yourself to pause for 3 mindful breaths every 30 minutes creates micro opportunities for release throughout your workday, potentially preventing many common back problems before they develop. The breath also serves as a sensitive indicator of your overall stress levels. When you're mentally tense or emotionally stressed, your breathing typically becomes shallower and more restricted, which then translates to physical tension in your back and shoulders. By maintaining awareness of your breath throughout the day, you gain an early warning system for stress buildup, allowing you to address tension patterns before they manifest as pain. Combining breath awareness with gentle movement creates another powerful approach for addressing back tension. Coordinating simple stretches or rotations with your breathing, moving on the inhale, releasing further on the exhale, enhances the effectiveness of both practices. This coordination helps retrain the nervous system's response to movement, particularly valuable for people who have developed fear or guarding around certain movements due to past pain experiences. The breath awareness technique flows naturally into another powerful Buddhist practice that specifically addresses back issues: walking meditation for spine alignment. While many people associate meditation only with sitting still, walking meditation, known as kinhin in Zen traditions, offers unique benefits for those dealing with back pain or postural problems. This practice transforms something you already do every day, walking, into a powerful tool for developing body awareness and promoting healthier alignment of your spine. Walking meditation differs from regular walking in several key ways. First, it's typically done much more slowly than your habitual pace. This deliberate slowness creates space to notice subtleties in your movement patterns that usually pass beneath your awareness. Second, you maintain continuous attention on physical sensations throughout the practice: the contact of your feet with the ground, the shifting of weight from one leg to the other, and the gentle movement of your spine with each step. Buddhist monasteries have long incorporated walking meditation into their daily schedules, alternating periods of sitting meditation with periods of walking practice. This balanced approach wasn't just for mental variety. The monks recognized that extended periods of sitting, even with good posture, could create stiffness and potential problems for spinal health. Walking meditation offered a way to maintain meditative awareness while allowing the body to move, stretch, and realign. To practice walking meditation for spine alignment, you begin by standing still and taking a moment to feel your connection with the ground. Notice how weight is distributed across your feet. Is it balanced between both feet? Between the balls and heels of your feet? This grounding awareness establishes the foundation for healthy alignment throughout your entire skeletal structure. Many back problems originate from uneven weight distribution that places excessive stress on certain parts of the spine. As you begin walking slowly, bring attention to how your feet make contact with the ground. Traditional instructions often break this down into phases: lifting one foot, moving it forward, placing it down, and shifting weight onto it before repeating with the other foot. This heightened awareness of the walking process reveals habits you might have developed over years, perhaps favoring one side, pushing off unevenly, or not fully engaging certain muscles that support proper alignment. The slow, mindful movement of walking meditation makes postural imbalances more evident than they might be during regular activities. You might notice that you habitually tilt your pelvis in a certain way, hunch your shoulders forward, or hold your head at an angle that creates strain in your neck and upper back. Simply noticing these patterns is the first step toward correcting them, as awareness itself often naturally invites adjustment toward more balanced alignment. A key focus area during walking meditation is your spine's natural curves. A healthy spine has several natural curves: inward at the lower back and neck, outward at the mid-back. Many back problems develop when these natural curves become either exaggerated or flattened. As you walk mindfully, you can explore finding the middle path of spinal alignment, neither collapsed nor rigidly over-straightened, but naturally aligned in a way that allows free movement and minimal strain. Paying attention to your center of gravity offers another valuable dimension to this practice. Many of us carry our weight too far forward, ahead of ourselves, literally and figuratively, or backward, creating unnecessary strain on the spine. Walking meditation helps you find and maintain your center, keeping your weight balanced over your pelvis and legs in a way that allows your spine to maintain its natural alignment with minimal muscular effort. Another benefit of walking meditation is how it reveals the interconnection between mental states and physical posture. You might notice that when thoughts about the past arise, your body subtly leans backward, or when anxiety about the future emerges, you lean forward. These physical expressions of mental states can create chronic patterns of misalignment that contribute to back pain. The integrated awareness developed in walking meditation helps interrupt these unconscious habits. Walking meditation also teaches proper breathing coordination with movement. Many people habitually hold their breath or breathe shallowly while moving, creating unnecessary tension in the torso that affects spinal alignment. By maintaining awareness of both breath and movement during walking meditation, you develop more integrated patterns that support back health. For people dealing with existing back pain, walking meditation can be modified to accommodate your current condition. The pace can be adjusted. Sometimes extremely slow walking reveals the most about your movement patterns, but a moderate pace might be more comfortable and sustainable with certain back conditions. You can also adjust the duration, perhaps starting with just 5 minutes and gradually extending the practice as your comfort and endurance increase. What makes walking meditation particularly valuable is its transferability to everyday life. The awareness you develop during formal practice gradually extends into your normal walking throughout the day. You might find yourself naturally adjusting your posture while walking down a hallway at work, climbing stairs, or running errands. This integration helps create lasting improvements in the patterns that affect your back health. Many practitioners find that walking meditation serves as an excellent complement to seated meditation practices. If back pain makes sitting meditation challenging, walking meditation offers an alternative that maintains the mental benefits of meditation while adding the physical benefits of gentle movement. The two approaches work synergistically. Sitting practice develops concentration that enhances your walking practice, while walking meditation develops bodily awareness that improves your seated posture. The fundamental insights from walking meditation extend beyond formal practice into all movement patterns that affect your back. You begin to notice how you stand, sit, reach, bend, and transition between positions throughout your day. This expanded awareness becomes a foundation for making small but significant adjustments that collectively can transform your back health over time. While walking meditation offers practical physical benefits for spine alignment, the Buddhist tradition also provides a profound conceptual framework for understanding and working with physical pain itself. The Four Noble Truths, which form the foundation of Buddhist teaching, offer remarkable insights when applied specifically to back pain and bodily tension. The first noble truth acknowledges the reality of suffering or unsatisfactoriness, dukkha, as part of human experience. Applied to physical pain, this truth invites honest recognition that discomfort, including back pain, is a natural part of having a human body. This might seem obvious, but many of us unconsciously operate from the assumption that we should never experience physical discomfort, leading to added frustration and resistance when pain occurs. Accepting that some degree of physical discomfort is normal creates a more realistic starting point for addressing it effectively. This doesn't mean resigning yourself to unnecessary suffering or avoiding appropriate treatment. Rather, it means releasing the additional mental suffering that comes from believing that pain is somehow wrong or shouldn't be happening. Modern pain science confirms the wisdom of this approach. Our expectation that we should always be pain-free often exacerbates our experience of pain when it does occur. The second noble truth addresses the origin of suffering, identifying craving and aversion as root causes. When applied to physical pain, this insight is particularly relevant. Our natural aversion to painful sensations triggers physical and mental reactions that often amplify our distress. When your back hurts, you likely tense the surrounding muscles, hold your breath, and mentally resist what you're feeling. Paradoxically, these very reactions typically increase the intensity and duration of pain. Research in pain science has confirmed this Buddhist insight, showing that fear, resistance, and catastrophizing about pain activate stress responses that increase muscle tension and inflammatory processes, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of increasing discomfort. The tension patterns that develop in response to initial pain often become secondary sources of pain themselves, sometimes persisting even after the original issue has resolved. The third noble truth offers hope by declaring that suffering can cease. Applied to physical pain, this doesn't necessarily mean all sensations of discomfort will disappear, but rather that our relationship with these sensations can fundamentally change, reducing our overall suffering. even when primary pain sensations remain due to physical conditions. The secondary suffering caused by our resistance can be dramatically reduced through Buddhist practices. This distinction between primary pain and secondary suffering is crucial for anyone dealing with back issues. Primary pain refers to the direct physical sensations arising from tissue damage, inflammation, or mechanical stress. Secondary suffering encompasses all the additional layers we add through resistance: fear, frustration, catastrophic thinking, and the resulting physical tension. While primary pain might require medical intervention, secondary suffering can be addressed immediately through changing our relationship with the experience. Many people with chronic back conditions report that while their physical sensations didn't completely disappear through Buddhist practice, their overall suffering decreased dramatically as they learned to stop fighting against their experience. This shift often creates enough mental and physical space to implement constructive approaches to addressing the underlying issues, rather than being consumed by reactivity to the pain. The fourth noble truth presents the eightfold path as a practical approach to reducing suffering. Each aspect of this path offers valuable guidance for working skillfully with back pain. Right view involves understanding pain accurately, recognizing its causes and conditions without adding catastrophic interpretations. Right intention includes developing the motivation to work with pain skillfully rather than merely attempting to escape it. Right speech affects how we talk about our pain, avoiding language that reinforces suffering narratives. Right action encompasses physical approaches that address the causes of back pain, from appropriate medical treatment to movement practices that promote spinal health. Right livelihood considers how our work affects our physical well-being, including ergonomics and stress management. Right effort involves balancing appropriate activity with necessary rest, avoiding both overexertion and excessive inactivity that can worsen back conditions. Right mindfulness, as we've explored in previous practices, involves maintaining clear awareness of bodily sensations, including pain, without being overwhelmed by them. Right concentration develops the mental stability to stay present with uncomfortable experiences without automatically reacting in ways that increase tension and suffering. Together, these 8 aspects provide a comprehensive approach to working with back pain that addresses both physical and psychological dimensions of the experience, rather than targeting just symptoms or just causes. The Eightfold Path offers an integrated strategy that recognizes the complex interplay between body, mind, behavior, and environment in creating and perpetuating back problems. A particularly valuable insight from applying the Four Noble Truths to back pain is recognizing the middle path between extremes. Just as the Buddha taught avoiding both self-indulgence and harsh asceticism, working skillfully with back pain involves finding balance between different extremes, between ignoring pain signals and becoming obsessively focused on them, between pushing through discomfort and avoiding all challenging movement, between accepting current limitations and giving up on improvement. For many practitioners, applying the Four Noble Truths to back pain gradually transforms their entire relationship with physical discomfort. Instead of seeing pain as an enemy to be defeated, it becomes information to be understood. Instead of pain being a purely negative experience to escape, it becomes an opportunity to develop greater awareness, compassion, and wisdom about the nature of embodied experience. The Four Noble Truths provide a philosophical foundation for approaching back pain, but Buddhist traditions also offer specific compassion-based practices that directly address chronic pain. Compassion meditation for chronic pain represents a profound shift from how many of us typically relate to physical discomfort. Rather than fighting against pain or becoming frustrated with a body that hurts, these practices cultivate a gentle, caring attitude toward your own suffering. At the heart of this approach are 2 complementary Buddhist practices: metta, loving kindness, and karuna, compassion. While these might initially sound too soft or passive for dealing with something as concrete as back pain, Research increasingly shows that how we emotionally relate to our pain significantly impacts our physical experience of it. Many people unwittingly create additional suffering through harsh self-criticism or frustration about their pain conditions. When you're dealing with ongoing back problems, it's common to develop a negative relationship with your body. You might find yourself thinking thoughts like, "I hate my back," "What's wrong with me?" or "My stupid body is failing me again." This adversarial relationship with your own body actually creates additional tension and stress that can worsen pain conditions. Compassion meditation directly counters this tendency by cultivating a kinder, more supportive relationship with your physical experience. To practice compassion meditation for back pain, you begin by acknowledging the reality of your discomfort without judgment or elaboration. Simply recognizing there is pain present creates space to respond differently than you might habitually. Next, you consciously bring an attitude of care and compassion toward the area that hurts. This might involve silently offering phrases such as, "May this pain be eased," "I care about this suffering," or "May I be gentle with this discomfort." What makes this approach particularly powerful is how it directly addresses the emotional component of physical pain. Research in neuroscience has demonstrated that the brain processes physical pain through both sensory and emotional pathways. The sensory component involves the location, intensity, and quality of the sensation, while the emotional component involves how distressing we find the experience. Remarkably, studies show that compassion practices particularly impact this emotional dimension of pain processing, reducing the suffering associated with physical sensations even when the sensations themselves remain present. Scientists at major research universities have conducted brain imaging studies showing that regular compassion meditation actually changes how pain signals are processed. When practiced consistently, these meditations reduce activity in brain regions associated with distress and increase activity in regions associated with self-regulation and positive emotion. Even more impressively, some studies have found that compassion practices can reduce inflammatory markers in the blood, suggesting these mental exercises may influence physiological processes that contribute to many pain conditions. Another valuable aspect of compassion meditation for back pain involves directing compassion specifically toward the areas of tension or discomfort. Rather than seeing a painful back as an enemy, you learn to relate to it as you would a hurt friend, with care, patience, and a genuine wish for its well-being. This shift might sound subtle, but it can dramatically change your physical experience by reducing the muscle guarding and tension that often develop around painful areas. Chronic pain conditions frequently create cycles where pain leads to tension, which increases pain, which then causes more tension. Compassion practice helps interrupt this cycle by reducing the reactive tensing that occurs in response to painful sensations. By mentally softening around areas of discomfort rather than bracing against them, practitioners often report experiencing greater ease even when primary pain sensations remain present. The practice extends beyond formal meditation sessions into how you think and talk about your body throughout the day. Many people with chronic back issues develop habits of negative self-talk that reinforce their suffering. Compassion practice involves catching these moments of self-criticism and consciously replacing them with more supportive internal messages. This ongoing practice gradually reshapes your relationship with your body in ways that promote both psychological and physical healing. For those who find self-compassion challenging, Buddhist traditions offer a helpful approach, beginning with compassion for others and gradually extending it to yourself. Some people find it easier to feel compassion for someone else experiencing back pain than for themselves. By first practicing with others' suffering and then gradually including their own experience in the circle of compassion, even those who struggle with self-criticism can develop this beneficial quality. The benefits of compassion practice for back pain extend beyond the immediate experience of discomfort. Chronic pain often leads to isolation, frustration, and reduced quality of life that create additional suffering beyond the physical sensations. Regular compassion meditation helps address these broader impacts by fostering emotional resilience, reducing the catastrophizing that often accompanies pain, and cultivating a sense of inner resourcefulness even amid physical challenges. Some practitioners report that compassion meditation also helps them make wiser decisions about their back care. Rather than swinging between ignoring important pain signals or becoming obsessively focused on eliminating all discomfort, the balanced perspective cultivated through compassion practice supports appropriate self-care without excessive self-preoccupation. This balanced approach might manifest as knowing when to rest and when to stay active, when to seek medical care and when to work with discomfort through meditation. Compassion practice also acknowledges the reality that some degree of physical discomfort may remain present despite our best efforts at healing. For those with chronic structural issues or ongoing conditions, learning to live well with some level of pain becomes an important skill. Compassion meditation offers a pathway to finding peace and well-being even when complete freedom from physical sensations isn't possible. The practice can be done in sessions as short as 5 minutes, making it accessible even during busy days or periods of significant discomfort. Many practitioners find it helpful to begin and end their day with brief compassion meditation, creating bookends that set a tone of kindness toward their physical experience. Others incorporate micro-practices throughout the day, taking just a few seconds to offer compassion whenever they notice pain or tension arising. While compassion meditation addresses the mental and emotional dimensions of back pain, Buddhist traditions also offer very specific physical guidance through their postural traditions. Buddhist postural techniques for spinal health represent thousands of years of careful observation and refinement focused on supporting the human body during long periods of meditation. These approaches balance structural stability with deep muscular relaxation, creating conditions for both physical well-being and mental clarity. At the heart of Buddhist postural teaching is the understanding that body and mind are inseparable. Physical alignment influences mental states, and mental attitudes affect physical tension patterns. The traditional meditation postures weren't developed arbitrarily, but emerged from deep observation of how different physical arrangements affect breath, energy, comfort, and attentional quality during extended practice. The most well-known Buddhist sitting postures include full lotus, half lotus, and Burmese position. These cross-legged positions create a triangular base that provides exceptional stability for the spine when properly aligned. These postures allow the natural curves of the spine to maintain their healthy orientation while minimizing muscular effort. The pelvis tilts slightly forward, supporting the lumbar curve, while the upper back and neck maintain their natural alignment without rigidity or collapse. What makes these traditional postures particularly beneficial for spinal health is how they distribute weight through the skeletal structure rather than requiring ongoing muscular effort. When the skeletal system is properly aligned, the muscles can deeply relax while still maintaining an upright position. This combination of structural support and muscular release allows long periods of sitting without creating the compression and tension that typically accompany poorly supported postures. Of course, these traditional postures aren't immediately accessible to everyone, especially those with existing back issues or limited flexibility. Buddhist traditions have always recognized the need to adapt postures to individual bodies, emphasizing function over exact form. For many Western practitioners, modified versions using cushions, benches, or chairs provide better support for their particular body structure and condition. Beyond the specific leg positions, Buddhist traditions offer precise guidance for optimal spinal alignment through principles like the 7 points of posture attributed to Vairocana. These points include legs in stable position, hands in a position that supports the shoulder girdle, spine upright with natural curves maintained, shoulders level and relaxed away from the ears, chin slightly tucked to lengthen the neck, tongue resting lightly against the upper palate, and gaze directed slightly downward with eyes either closed or softly open. The Zen tradition particularly emphasizes what they call correctly balanced zazen, where the posture itself embodies and expresses balanced mental qualities. Too much rigidity in posture reflects and reinforces mental rigidity. Too much looseness in the body mirrors and supports mental dullness. Finding the middle path in posture, neither too tight nor too loose, creates ideal conditions for both spinal health and mental clarity. One of the most valuable aspects of Buddhist postural teaching is the emphasis on working with the spine as a whole integrated system, rather than focusing solely on problem areas. Many modern approaches to back pain concentrate exclusively on the specific region that hurts, missing how the entire structure works together. Buddhist postural techniques recognize how foot placement affects knee alignment, which influences hip position, which determines pelvic tilt, which supports lumbar curve, and so on throughout the entire spine up to the position of the head. Specific techniques like pushing the sky and pressing the earth establish healthy vertical alignment that reduces vertebral compression. This involves a subtle internal action of gently lengthening upward through the crown of the head while allowing the sitting bones to root downward. This opposing movement creates space between vertebrae without rigidity, allowing for natural spinal curves while minimizing compression. Buddhist postural techniques are often taught through direct physical adjustments and precise verbal cues that help practitioners find optimal alignment for their particular body. Teachers might guide students to find their sitting bones, rock slightly forward and backward to find the natural balance point of the pelvis, or make micro-adjustments to shoulder and head position to promote ease throughout the entire spine. An important principle in Buddhist postural teaching involves finding stability first, then gradually relaxing unnecessary tension within that stable framework. Many people attempt to relax without first establishing proper structural alignment, leading to collapsed postures that create their own form of strain. Conversely, others maintain rigid, military-style postures that require constant muscular effort. The Buddhist approach finds the middle path, proper skeletal alignment that minimizes the need for muscular tension while supporting healthy spinal curves. The benefits of these postural techniques extend well beyond formal meditation sessions. The body awareness and alignment principles developed through careful sitting practice naturally influence how you sit, stand, and move throughout daily activities. Many practitioners report that after months or years of regular meditation with proper postural attention, they naturally begin to catch and correct unhealthy positions during daily activities like working at a computer, driving, or watching television. Modern ergonomic research has actually validated many principles found in traditional Buddhist postural teachings. The emphasis on maintaining natural spinal curves, distributing weight through the skeletal structure rather than holding with muscles, and finding a balance between support and relaxation aligns with current understanding of healthy sitting mechanics. The traditional cushions and supports used in Buddhist meditation also address many of the same concerns targeted by modern ergonomic chairs and accessories, though often through simpler means. While traditional forms like full lotus offer exceptional stability for those with sufficient hip flexibility, Buddhist teachers today recognize that anatomical variations and modern lifestyle factors necessitate adaptations for many practitioners. Some individuals simply don't have the hip structure to safely achieve full lotus, while others have developed patterns from years of chair sitting that require gradual retraining before traditional postures become accessible. The essential principles of alignment remain the same, while the specific form may vary to accommodate individual needs. For those with existing back conditions, Buddhist postural techniques offer both immediate adjustments for pain relief and long-term retraining that can address underlying patterns. Rather than forcing the body into idealized positions, the approach involves patient, attentive exploration to discover what arrangement best supports your particular structure and condition. This mindful approach to posture, combined with the compassionate attitude developed through meditation, creates a comprehensive framework for working with back issues that honors both physical realities and mental dimensions of the experience. the Buddhist postural techniques and compassion practices both highlight a fundamental principle that runs throughout Buddhist approaches to physical wellness: the deep interconnection between mind and body. While modern Western culture has often treated mental and physical health as separate domains, Buddhist traditions have always recognized that thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations are constantly influencing each other in both directions. This mind-body connection is not just a philosophical concept, but a practical reality that can be directly observed and worked with to address back pain and tension. The Buddhist term namarupa, often translated as mind-body or name and form, expresses this understanding that mental and physical processes are two aspects of the same integrated system. Every mental state has a corresponding physical expression, and every physical sensation influences our mental experience. When you feel anxious, your muscles tighten, your breathing changes, and your posture shifts. Conversely, when you sit with a slumped posture for hours, your energy levels and mood tend to decrease. This continuous feedback loop between mind and body creates patterns that can either support well-being or perpetuate suffering. For people dealing with back pain, this interconnection is particularly significant. Emotional states like anxiety, frustration, or fear don't just exist in the mind, they manifest directly as patterns of physical tension, especially in areas like the back, neck, and shoulders. You might notice that during stressful periods at work, your back pain intensifies, or that certain emotional triggers reliably produce specific tension patterns in your body. These aren't coincidences, but direct expressions of the mind-body connection. Buddhist contemplative practices develop the capacity to observe these connections in real time. Through regular meditation, you begin to notice how specific thoughts create immediate physical responses. You might observe that thoughts about a difficult upcoming conversation create tightness in your shoulders, or that worrying about finances produces a knot in your lower back. As your awareness becomes more refined, you can catch these patterns earlier in the cycle, before they consolidate into more serious pain. This awareness creates choice points where you can intervene in previously automatic patterns. When you notice anxious thoughts creating tension in your back, you can consciously relax those muscles while addressing the underlying mental state. Similarly, when you notice physical discomfort arising, you can observe how your mind reacts, perhaps with frustration, catastrophizing, or resistance, and choose different mental responses that don't amplify the physical problem. Buddhist practice recognizes several distinct layers in this mind-body system. Beyond the obvious physical sensations and conscious thoughts, there are emotional responses, habitual patterns, sankharas, unconscious reactions, and energetic components. Working with back pain effectively often requires addressing multiple layers of this system rather than focusing exclusively on either physical or mental aspects in isolation. The concept of samskaras or habitual patterns is particularly relevant for back issues. Many of us develop deeply ingrained patterns of movement, posture, tension, and response to discomfort that operate largely below conscious awareness. These patterns become self-reinforcing over time as neural pathways strengthen and muscles adapt to certain positions and movements. Buddhist mindfulness practices help bring these unconscious patterns into awareness, creating the possibility of forming new, healthier habits. The mind-body connection also explains why purely physical interventions for back pain sometimes fall short. You might receive expert physical therapy or chiropractic adjustments that temporarily realign your structure. But if the mental and emotional patterns that contributed to the problem remain unchanged, the physical issue often returns. Similarly, stress reduction alone might temporarily ease symptoms, but without addressing physical patterns that have become established in your body, the relief may be limited. Buddhist traditions offer integrated practices that address both physical and mental aspects simultaneously. Mindful movement practices combine precise physical alignment with specific qualities of attention. Breathwork influences both the nervous system and mental states. Meditation develops mental qualities that support physical healing while also enhancing body awareness that helps maintain proper alignment and movement patterns. Modern research increasingly confirms this Buddhist understanding of mind-body interconnection. Studies show that chronic stress triggers inflammatory responses that can contribute to or exacerbate pain conditions. Psychological factors like catastrophizing about pain have been shown to increase pain intensity and duration. Conversely, positive mental states and attitudes toward pain have been associated with reduced pain perception and improved functional outcomes. Brain imaging studies reveal that meditation practices influence both pain perception networks and emotional regulation centers in the brain. When experienced meditation practitioners experience painful stimuli, they show different brain activation patterns than non-meditators, suggesting that mental training literally changes how the brain processes pain signals. These findings support the Buddhist view that working with the mind directly impacts physical experience. The mind-body connection also explains why pain experiences are so individual and variable. The same structural issue might cause debilitating pain for one person and minimal discomfort for another, depending on factors like stress levels, emotional state, past experiences with pain, attention patterns, and beliefs about pain. Buddhist practice addresses these mental factors directly, complementing medical approaches that focus on physical structures. For practical application in daily life, the mind-body connection suggests several approaches for working with back pain. Regular body scanning helps identify where you're holding tension that might contribute to back problems. Checking in with your emotional state when pain flares can reveal mental patterns that might be amplifying the experience. Noticing how different environments and situations affect both your mental state and physical tension provides valuable information about triggers to address or avoid. The Buddhist approach also recognizes that healing is rarely linear. Physical conditions and mental states fluctuate, sometimes improving and sometimes temporarily worsening, rather than seeing these fluctuations as failures. The mind-body perspective views them as valuable information about the interconnected system and opportunities to develop more nuanced understanding of your particular patterns. Perhaps most importantly, recognizing the mind-body connection empowers you to participate actively in your own healing process, rather than being a passive recipient of treatments applied to your body, or struggling alone with mental attitudes toward pain. You become an active participant working with the entire integrated system of your experience. This comprehensive approach often yields more sustainable improvements than addressing either physical or mental aspects in isolation. This understanding of the mind-body connection naturally leads to another crucial Buddhist approach to working with physical discomfort: the practice of acceptance and non-resistance. While this might initially sound like passive resignation to pain, Buddhist traditions offer a much more nuanced and active understanding of acceptance that can transform your experience of back pain and tension at a fundamental level. The starting point for this practice is recognizing how our habitual resistance to pain often creates additional suffering beyond the original sensation. When back pain arises, our typical response is to tense against it, mentally fight it, wish it weren't happening, or become frustrated and upset about it. While these reactions seem natural, they actually create layers of additional tension, stress, and suffering on top of the primary physical sensation. Buddhist practice distinguishes between pain and suffering in a crucial way. Pain refers to the unavoidable physical sensations that arise due to injury, inflammation, mechanical stress, or other bodily conditions. Suffering, on the other hand, encompasses all the additional mental anguish, emotional distress, and physical tension that result from our resistance to the experience. The revolutionary insight of Buddhist practice is that while pain might be unavoidable in certain situations, much of the suffering we experience around pain is optional. The practice of acceptance involves acknowledging the reality of your current experience without adding resistance, judgment, or elaboration. When back pain is present, you simply recognize pain is here rather than immediately launching into thoughts like, "This is terrible," "I can't stand this," or "This will never end." This straightforward acknowledgement creates a mental spaciousness around the experience that reduces the secondary suffering of resistance. Non-resistance extends this approach to the physical level. When pain arises, notice if you're physically bracing against the sensation, perhaps tensing muscles around the painful area, holding your breath, or tightening your jaw. These physical forms of resistance actually intensify and prolong pain by creating additional tension that compresses joints, restricts blood flow, and stresses surrounding tissues. The practice involves consciously relaxing these protective tensions, allowing the area to receive proper circulation and reducing unnecessary compression. What makes this approach counterintuitive yet powerful is that when we stop fighting against pain, it often naturally begins to shift and change. Many practitioners report that when they fully accept and stop resisting a painful sensation, it frequently diminishes in intensity or transforms in quality. This doesn't mean the sensation completely disappears, but our experience of it fundamentally changes when we drop the added layer of struggle. The Buddhist term nekkhamma, sometimes translated as renunciation, takes on special meaning in relation to pain. In this context, it refers to letting go of our demand that reality be different from what it is in this moment. This doesn't mean giving up on improvement or not seeking appropriate treatment. Rather, it means releasing the mental insistence that pain should not be here right now when it already is. This mental letting go often produces immediate physical relaxation that can ease pain conditions. The practice requires discernment about what we can and cannot control in any given moment. While we can pursue treatments, adjust our posture, take medication, or practice techniques that might help over time, the sensation that exists right now can only be met with either acceptance or resistance. Buddhist practice encourages accepting what is actually present while taking wise action toward healing. This approach is particularly valuable for chronic back conditions that don't resolve quickly. When facing ongoing pain, many people cycle between fighting against their experience and giving up in despair. Neither extreme is helpful. The middle path of acceptance combined with wise action provides a sustainable approach for living well even with persistent conditions. You accept the reality of your current experience while remaining engaged in beneficial practices and appropriate treatments. Modern pain research strongly supports this Buddhist approach. Studies show that pain acceptance is associated with lower pain intensity, reduced disability, decreased depression and anxiety, and better quality of life among chronic pain patients. Pain acceptance doesn't mean liking pain or wanting it to continue, but rather acknowledging its presence without excessive resistance, and continuing to engage in valued activities despite some discomfort. Psychologically, acceptance helps counter the catastrophizing that often accompanies pain experiences. Rather than spiraling into thoughts about how unbearable the pain is, how it will never end, or how it will prevent you from ever enjoying life again, acceptance keeps you anchored in the present reality. You recognize that yes, there is discomfort now, but you remain open to the possibility that this experience will change, and that meaningful engagement with life remains possible even with some level of pain. For practical implementation, acceptance practice often begins with simple acknowledgement statements like, "This is what's happening right now," or "I notice pain sensations in my lower back." You might follow this with conscious relaxation of any physical tension that has developed in response to the pain, and gentle attention to your breathing. Rather than trying to escape the experience through distraction, you remain present with the sensations while creating mental spaciousness around them. This practice becomes particularly valuable during pain flare-ups or when medical interventions haven't provided complete relief. Instead of being caught in frustration about treatments not working perfectly or pain returning, You meet the current reality with acceptance while maintaining an open perspective about future possibilities for improvement. This balanced approach keeps you engaged in beneficial practices without the additional suffering that comes from rigid expectations. The practice of acceptance creates a foundation for responding to pain with wisdom rather than reactivity. When you're not caught in automatic resistance to your experience, you can make clearer decisions about appropriate activities, rest, treatment options, and self-care measures. You develop the ability to distinguish between helpful pain signals that indicate you should modify activity and unhelpful habitual pain responses that unnecessarily limit your life. Over time, combining acceptance with other Buddhist practices like mindfulness and compassion creates a resilient approach to living with back issues. Rather than your well-being being completely dependent on the absence of pain, you develop the capacity to maintain equanimity and engagement with life even during periods of physical discomfort. This psychological flexibility becomes a valuable resource not just for managing back pain, but for navigating all of life's inevitable challenges and transitions. The practice of acceptance creates a foundation for healthy engagement with back pain. And this approach is particularly evident in Zen traditions, which have developed specific practices for sitting meditation that directly address back care. Zen Buddhism, with its emphasis on extended periods of seated meditation, has naturally evolved detailed approaches to maintaining spinal health during practice. These techniques offer valuable insights for anyone dealing with back issues, whether or not they identify as meditation practitioners. Zazen, or Zen seated meditation, places extraordinary emphasis on proper posture as the foundation for both physical well-being and mental clarity. Unlike some approaches that treat posture as merely a physical concern, Zen recognizes that how you sit directly expresses and influences your mental state. The traditional instruction for Zazen posture is that it should be as stable as a mountain while simultaneously remaining relaxed and without unnecessary tension, a balance that precisely addresses many common back problems. Zen teachers often speak about sitting on your bones rather than your muscles, highlighting an important principle for back health. When sitting is supported primarily by the skeletal structure rather than muscular effort, you can maintain proper alignment for extended periods without fatigue or strain. This means finding the natural balance points of your pelvis on the cushion or chair, allowing your spine to stack vertebra upon vertebra in their natural curves, rather than forcing an artificial posture through muscular effort. A key Zen instruction involves sitting in the back rather than the legs. Many people with back problems tend to collapse in the lower back, putting strain on the lumbar region. Zen practice emphasizes maintaining the natural lumbar curve by slightly tilting the pelvis forward, which distributes weight properly through the spinal column. This subtle adjustment often makes the difference between sitting that creates back pain and sitting that alleviates it. Zen monasteries traditionally incorporate a careful rhythm of sitting and walking meditation. Even during intensive retreats where practitioners might meditate for 8 to 10 hours daily. Periods of zazen typically last only 25 to 50 minutes, alternating with kinhin, walking meditation. This balanced approach recognizes that even with perfect posture, the human body benefits from regular movement and position changes to maintain spinal health and prevent stiffness. One distinctive aspect of Zen practice is the emphasis on stillness during zazen. While this might seem counterintuitive for back health, the Zen approach to stillness is quite sophisticated. Rather than rigid immobility that creates tension, Zen stillness involves finding such perfect balance that little movement is needed. This balanced stillness allows muscles to fully release unnecessary tension while maintaining proper alignment, creating ideal conditions for the back to release chronic holding patterns. The practice of shikantaza, or just sitting, is particularly relevant for back care. This form of meditation emphasizes being fully present with your current experience without straining toward any particular goal or state. Applied to back discomfort, this means learning to sit with sensations as they arise without immediately reacting, fidgeting, or adjusting. This doesn't mean enduring harmful pain, but rather developing discernment between harmful pain that requires adjustment and merely uncomfortable sensations that can be observed with equanimity. Zen teachers provide specific guidance for working with discomfort during meditation. When pain arises, the practitioner is encouraged to first observe it closely. Is it sharp or dull? Constant or pulsing? Where exactly is it located? Often this close observation reveals that what seemed like one solid block of back pain is actually a changing constellation of sensations. After this observation, the practitioner makes a conscious choice, either to mindfully adjust position if the pain signals potential injury, or to remain still and observe how the sensation changes if it's merely discomfort. The Zen approach to posture includes precise attention to often overlooked details that significantly impact back health. The position of the hands creates a subtle but important influence on shoulder and upper back tension. By placing the hands in the traditional cosmic mudra, left hand on right, palms up, thumbs lightly touching, the shoulders naturally settle in a balanced position that reduces upper back strain. Similarly, the precise position of the head, neither dropping forward nor tilted back, with the chin slightly tucked, properly aligns the cervical spine to prevent neck tension that can radiate down into the back. Zen traditions recognize that proper support is essential for sustainable sitting practice. Various cushion arrangements have been developed to accommodate different body types and flexibility levels. The traditional zafu, round meditation cushion, elevates the pelvis just enough to allow proper spinal alignment, while the zabuton, flat mat, provides cushioning for the knees and ankles. For those with back issues, additional supports like bench seating, cushion arrangements, or modified positions ensure that meditation practice supports rather than compromises spinal health. An interesting aspect of Zen approach to back care is the balance between effort and non-effort. While proper alignment requires initial attention and sometimes muscular engagement to establish, the goal is to find a position where minimal ongoing effort is needed to maintain it. This parallels the mental attitude of Zazen itself, alert attention without straining, and creates ideal conditions for chronically tense back muscles to gradually release their holding patterns. Zen practice extends beyond formal meditation sessions to include mindful attention to posture and movement throughout daily activities. The awareness developed through careful attention to sitting naturally transfers to how you stand, walk, and engage in daily tasks. Many practitioners report that after regular Zen practice, they naturally catch themselves slouching or creating tension during ordinary activities and can make immediate adjustments based on the body awareness developed through Zazen. The Zen approach to back care emphasizes prevention alongside management of existing issues. By developing exquisite attention to subtle sensations, practitioners often notice early warning signs of tension or misalignment before they develop into significant problems. This preventive awareness allows for minor adjustments that can avert more serious back issues from developing, embodying the wisdom that addressing small imbalances early is far easier than correcting major problems later. While Zen sitting practices offer specific techniques for back care, they ultimately point toward a more fundamental distinction that runs throughout Buddhist approaches to physical discomfort: the crucial difference between pain and suffering. This distinction isn't merely philosophical, but offers practical guidance for working effectively with back problems and bodily tension. In Buddhist psychology, pain and suffering are not synonymous, but represent different aspects of our experience that can be clearly distinguished through mindful awareness. Pain refers to the unavoidable physical sensations that arise due to injury, illness, or mechanical stress in the body. Suffering refers to the additional mental and emotional distress we add through our reactions to these sensations. Understanding this distinction creates a powerful entry point for reducing overall distress, even when pain itself cannot be immediately eliminated. The Buddha illustrated this concept with the metaphor of the two arrows. The first arrow represents the unavoidable pain of physical existence, the direct sensation of a back spasm, for example, The second arrow represents our reaction to this sensation, perhaps fear, frustration, catastrophic thinking, or anger that intensifies our overall experience of distress. While we often cannot avoid the first arrow of physical pain, we have substantial control over whether we shoot ourselves with the second arrow of reactive suffering. When applied specifically to back pain, this distinction becomes immediately practical. The primary sensation in your back might involve throbbing, tightness, or sharp pain. This is the first arrow. The second arrow might include thoughts like, "This is ruining my life," "I can't stand this," or "This will never end." It might include emotions like frustration, hopelessness, or anger. It typically involves physical reactions like breath holding, muscle guarding, or bracing against the sensation. All these secondary reactions significantly amplify your overall distress without changing the underlying physical sensation. Buddhist practices teach us to observe precisely where pain ends and suffering begins. Through careful attention to your experience, you might notice that a significant portion of your distress comes not from the physical sensation itself, but from your thoughts about it, your emotional reactions to it, and the additional tension you create in response to it. This observation creates choice points where you can reduce suffering even if the primary pain sensation remains present. The practice of Vedananupassana, or mindful attention to feeling tones, offers a specific approach to making this distinction. It involves noting whether a sensation is pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, without adding the usual layers of mental elaboration. When back pain arises, you might simply note unpleasant sensation in lower back without immediately launching into stories about what it means, how long it will last, or how it will affect your life. This bare attention to the feeling tone creates space around the experience and prevents the cascade of reactions that amplify suffering. Interestingly, brain imaging studies support this Buddhist distinction between pain and suffering. Research shows that physical pain activates certain brain regions, while the emotional distress about pain activates different areas. These neural networks can operate independently. You can have physical pain without emotional suffering, and conversely, you can experience emotional suffering about anticipated pain even when no physical sensation is present. This neurological finding confirms what Buddhist practitioners have observed for centuries through direct experience. The distinction becomes particularly relevant for chronic back conditions. When pain persists over time, we often develop layers of mental and emotional reactions that can actually maintain or worsen the condition. Fear of movement might lead to avoiding beneficial activities. Catastrophic thinking increases stress hormones that contribute to inflammation and muscle tension. Frustration about treatment outcomes creates additional psychological burden. By distinguishing between primary pain and these secondary reactions, you can address the suffering dimension directly while working appropriately with the physical sensations. Buddhist practice offers specific approaches for working with each dimension. For the physical sensations, techniques like mindful breathing, gentle movement, and appropriate medical care address the first arrow directly. For the suffering dimension, practices like mental noting, compassion meditation, and perspective shifts address the second arrow. This comprehensive approach recognizes that effective pain management requires attending to both dimensions rather than focusing exclusively on either physical or psychological aspects. The distinction also helps clarify when to accept discomfort and when to take action. Not all pain signals require the same response. Some back sensations might indicate a need for immediate medical attention, while others represent normal tissue sensations that don't require intervention. By clearly distinguishing between primary sensations and fearful reactions, you develop better discernment about which signals require action and which can simply be observed with equanimity. For practical application, you might develop the habit of asking, "What is the bare sensation right now? Separate from my thoughts about it." When back pain arises, This question helps cut through catastrophic thinking and emotional reactions to contact the direct physical experience. Often, the bare sensation is more manageable than the combined experience of sensation plus reaction. You might further ask, what am I adding to this experience through resistance, fear, or frustration? This inquiry helps identify the suffering dimension that you can work with directly through mindfulness and compassion practices. This approach doesn't invalidate the reality of physical pain or suggest that back problems are all in your head. Rather, it recognizes that our experience of physical discomfort always includes both sensory and psychological dimensions, and that working skillfully with back issues requires addressing both aspects. By distinguishing between unavoidable pain and optional suffering, you develop a more nuanced and effective approach to managing back problems that honors both physical realities and psychological influences on your experience. The distinction between pain and suffering points to the practical importance of how we position and support our bodies, especially during periods of sitting meditation or daily activities. While mindfulness of physical and mental aspects is essential, the actual physical setup we use can significantly impact our experience of back pain. Buddhist meditation traditions have developed sophisticated approaches to cushions and proper sitting support that directly address many common back issues while creating optimal conditions for both physical comfort and mental clarity. The way you support your body during sitting isn't just a matter of comfort, it fundamentally affects spinal alignment, muscle tension, and ultimately, your experience of pain or ease. Buddhist traditions across various cultures have carefully refined their seating arrangements over thousands of years, developing options that accommodate different body types, flexibility levels, and specific physical needs. These traditional supports weren't designed arbitrarily, but evolved through careful observation of how different setups affect both physical comfort and mental states during extended practice. The most common traditional meditation cushion is the zafu, a round, firm cushion typically stuffed with kapok or buckwheat hulls. The zafu's primary function is to elevate the pelvis just enough to allow the natural curves of the spine to maintain their healthy alignment. This slight elevation is crucial for most people because it allows the pelvis to tilt slightly forward, supporting the natural lumbar curve without strain. When the pelvis is properly positioned, the rest of the spine can stack more naturally above it, reducing unnecessary muscle tension throughout the back. The zafu is usually paired with a zabuton, a flatter, rectangular mat that provides cushioning for the knees and ankles. This two-part system addresses a key principle in back care. Proper support of the pelvis creates the foundation for spinal health, while cushioning for the lower extremities prevents discomfort that would indirectly cause back tension. Many people make the mistake of using only soft cushioning without proper structural support, which might feel comfortable initially, but often leads to collapsed posture and resulting back strain during longer sitting periods. Tibetan traditions often use a gomden, a firmer, rectangular cushion that provides more height and a flatter sitting surface than the zafu. This higher, more stable platform can be particularly helpful for those with less flexibility in the hips or knees, as it reduces the degree of bend required in the lower extremities while still maintaining proper pelvic tilt for spinal alignment. The gomden's firmness provides consistent support that doesn't compress over time during longer sitting periods. What makes these traditional cushions effective is how they address the specific challenges of sitting on the floor. Floor sitting naturally encourages better spinal alignment than most chair sitting, but it requires sufficient hip flexibility and proper support to be sustainable. The height of your cushion should be personalized based on your body proportions, flexibility, and any existing back conditions. Some practitioners need several inches of height to achieve proper pelvic tilt, while those with greater flexibility may need less elevation. For many modern practitioners, especially those with existing back issues, traditional floor sitting may not be immediately accessible. Buddhist teachers have adapted their guidance to include bench sitting and chair meditation as valid alternatives that maintain the essential principles of healthy spinal alignment. Meditation benches provide a kneeling position that naturally tilts the pelvis forward while removing pressure from the knees and ankles. Properly adjusted chairs with firm support can also create suitable conditions for meditation when floor sitting isn't an option. The critical factor in any sitting arrangement is finding the 3 points of contact that create stable triangular support: the sitting bones or thighs, in chair sitting, and both knees or feet, in chair sitting. This triangular base creates stability that allows the upper body to relax while maintaining proper alignment. Without this stable foundation, the back muscles must continually work to maintain balance, creating fatigue and tension over time. Proper positioning on your cushion or chair is as important as the support itself. Many beginners make the mistake of sitting on the middle of their cushion, which can create unstable support. Traditional instruction suggests sitting on the forward third of the zafu, allowing the cushion to support the sitting bones while tilting the pelvis slightly forward. This position naturally encourages the lower back to maintain its proper curve without forced effort. For those with specific back conditions, customized arrangements may be necessary. People with sciatica might need asymmetrical support with one side of the pelvis elevated slightly higher. Those with lumbar disc issues often benefit from slightly higher overall support to create more space for the natural lumbar curve. Individuals with thoracic tension might need additional attention to shoulder and arm positioning to prevent upper back strain. Buddhist teachers recognize that proper support should be combined with appropriate sitting duration, even with ideal setup. Maintaining any single position for too long can create stiffness and discomfort. Traditional practice often alternates sitting periods of 20 to 45 minutes with walking meditation or gentle stretching. This rhythm acknowledges the body's need for movement while still allowing sufficient time for developing meditation stability. What makes Buddhist approaches to sitting support particularly valuable is how they balance respect for traditional forms with pragmatic adaptation to individual needs. The goal isn't to force your body into an idealized position, but to find support that allows your particular body to sit with stability, alignment, and relative comfort. This balanced approach recognizes that proper support should enable your practice rather than becoming an additional source of strain. The attention to proper support in Buddhist traditions reflects a deeper understanding that physical setup and mental state are inseparable aspects of practice. When your body is well supported and aligned, your mind naturally settles more easily. Conversely, when your sitting arrangement creates physical strain or discomfort, your attention becomes fragmented between your meditation object and your body's distress signals. Proper support isn't merely a physical convenience, but creates essential conditions for both physical well-being and mental clarity. Regular practice with appropriate support gradually retrains your body's postural habits, creating benefits that extend beyond formal meditation sessions. Many practitioners find that the body awareness and alignment developed through supported sitting naturally influences how they sit, stand, and move throughout daily activities. This postural re-education can help address the underlying patterns that contribute to chronic back issues while preventing new problems from developing. While cushions and physical supports address the structural aspects of sitting practice, Buddhist traditions also offer mental approaches that directly transform our experience of pain itself. One of the most powerful of these approaches is impermanence meditation for pain management. This practice applies the fundamental Buddhist insight of impermanence, anicca, specifically to the experience of physical discomfort, revealing how even intense pain sensations are not solid, static experiences but constantly changing processes. At its core, impermanence meditation involves bringing detailed, moment-by-moment attention to the changing nature of sensations, including painful ones. Rather than perceiving back pain as one solid, unchanging block of discomfort, you learn to observe its fluctuating qualities, how intensity rises and falls, how the exact location shifts slightly. how the sensation might transform from sharp to dull or from burning to throbbing. This microscopic attention reveals that what we call pain is actually a series of changing experiences rather than a fixed entity. This practice directly counters one of the most distressing aspects of pain, the fear that it will never change or improve. When experiencing significant back discomfort, the mind often projects this current state indefinitely into the future, generating thoughts like, "This will never end," or "I'll always feel this way." These projections intensify suffering by adding hopelessness and despair to physical discomfort. Impermanence meditation directly challenges these assumptions by revealing through direct observation that no sensation, no matter how intense, remains exactly the same even for a few moments. To practice impermanence meditation with back pain, you begin by establishing basic mindfulness of your current experience. Rather than immediately trying to change or escape the painful sensations, you turn your attention directly toward them with curious, non-judgmental awareness. You might notice the precise location, extent, and boundaries of the discomfort. Is it perfectly symmetrical, or more intense on one side? Does it have clear edges, or does it fade gradually into surrounding areas? Is it on the surface or deep within? Once you've established this basic awareness, you begin to notice how these qualities change from moment to moment. You might observe that what seemed like constant pain actually pulses with your heartbeat or fluctuates with your breath. You might notice that when you pay close attention, the sensation that you labeled as pain breaks down into more elementary sensations, perhaps pressure, warmth, tingling, or tightness that arise and pass in rapid succession. This more granular perception transforms your relationship with the experience, making it less overwhelming and more workable. The practice involves maintaining this detailed attention without adding the usual mental narrative about the pain. Instead of thinking about how long it might last, why it's happening, or what it might mean for your future, you continually return to the direct sensory experience in this moment, noticing how it's already slightly different from the previous moment. This interrupts the catastrophizing and rumination that often amplify pain perception. A key aspect of impermanence meditation is developing patience and equanimity with the changing nature of sensations. Rather than demanding immediate relief or becoming frustrated when discomfort doesn't instantly disappear, you cultivate the capacity to be with the changing flow of experience. This doesn't mean passive resignation to pain, but rather developing a more spacious, less reactive relationship with sensations as they arise and pass away. The technique known as Anicca Vipassana specifically focuses on the impermanent nature of all sensations. When practicing this with back pain, you might mentally note changing as you observe the fluctuations in your experience. Some practitioners find it helpful to imagine their awareness as a scientific instrument precisely recording the constant flux of sensations without judgment or reactivity. This objective, curious stance helps disidentify from pain as something happening to you and instead view it as a natural process unfolding in awareness. Research on pain perception supports the effectiveness of this approach. Studies show that when people focus on the sensory aspects of pain while minimizing the evaluative narrative, pain perception often decreases. Brain imaging research demonstrates that experienced meditators process pain differently, showing reduced activity in brain regions associated with evaluating and reacting to pain, while maintaining awareness of the sensory input. The benefits of impermanence meditation extend beyond immediate pain relief. Regular practice develops a more realistic relationship with all bodily sensations. Instead of expecting stability and predictability from a body that is naturally in constant flux, you develop comfort with change itself. This broader perspective reduces the stress and struggle that come from demanding that your body maintain one particular state of comfort or ease. For chronic back pain sufferers, impermanence meditation offers a powerful antidote to the fear and anticipatory anxiety that often accompany pain conditions. when you've directly observed countless times how sensations arise and pass. The appearance of pain becomes less threatening. Rather than thinking, "Oh no, my back pain is starting, this is terrible," your response might shift to, "Here are some intense sensations arising. They will change as all sensations do." This reduced reactivity often prevents the escalation cycle where fear of pain creates tension that worsens the very pain you fear. Impermanence meditation helps us recognize the changing nature of pain sensations. But to address back problems effectively, we also need to understand how mental stress manifests physically in our bodies. Buddhist psychology offers remarkably detailed insights into the connection between stress and its physical manifestations, particularly in the back and neck areas. This understanding provides practical tools for identifying and addressing the mental patterns that contribute to chronic tension and pain. Buddhist texts, particularly in the Abhidhamma tradition, map out precisely how specific mental states correspond to distinctive physical sensations and tension patterns. This isn't just theoretical knowledge, it's practical information that helps identify the root causes of many back problems that might otherwise seem purely physical in nature. According to this understanding, mental patterns don't just influence your physical state, they directly manifest as tangible bodily sensations and tensions, especially in areas like the back, shoulders, and neck. The concept of sankhara, often translated as mental formations or habitual patterns, is particularly relevant for understanding stress-related back pain. These sankharas aren't just thoughts, they're deeply ingrained patterns of mental, emotional, and physical reactivity that operate largely below conscious awareness. Over time, these patterns create characteristic tension signatures in the body. You might notice that anxiety consistently creates tightness between your shoulder blades, while frustration manifests as lower back tension, or worry appears as a knot in your neck muscles. Buddhist psychology identifies what are called the three poisons: greed/attachment, aversion/anger, and delusion/confusion, as fundamental patterns that drive much of our stress and suffering. Each of these creates distinctive physical manifestations. Greed or craving often manifests as a forward-leaning posture with tension in the front of the body and chest, literally reaching toward what we want. Aversion frequently creates backward-leaning posture with tension in the back, shoulders, and jaw as we physically brace against what we don't want. Confusion typically appears as collapse in the core with disconnection between upper and lower body. What makes the Buddhist perspective particularly valuable is how it reframes stress itself. Rather than viewing stress as an external condition happening to you, Buddhist psychology recognizes it as internal reactivity that can be transformed through practice. The same external situation, a demanding job, financial pressure, relationship challenges, might create intense physical tension for one person, but minimal bodily response in someone with different mental patterns. This insight shifts the approach from merely trying to avoid stressful situations to developing different internal responses to whatever circumstances arise. For back pain sufferers, this perspective offers a crucial insight, addressing only the physical manifestation, the tense back muscles, without recognizing the mental patterns that continually recreate that tension often leads to temporary relief followed by recurrence. Buddhist practice suggests working with both aspects, using physical techniques to release current tension while simultaneously addressing the mental patterns that generate it. The practice of contentment, santuti, offers a direct antidote to the constant striving and dissatisfaction that create much physical tension. Many back problems develop or worsen from the subtle but persistent physical bracing that accompanies thoughts like, "This isn't good enough," or "I need something different from what's happening now." This mental resistance creates physical resistance in the form of muscle tension, particularly in the back and shoulders. Contentment practice involves consciously recognizing and appreciating what is present and sufficient in this moment, allowing both mind and body to release unnecessary tension. Modern stress research confirms these Buddhist insights. documenting how psychological stress triggers the sympathetic nervous system, leading to muscle guarding, shallow breathing, and increased inflammation, all factors that contribute to back pain. The stress hormones released during chronic worry or anxiety promote conditions that maintain or worsen back problems. Understanding this connection helps explain why purely physical interventions sometimes provide only temporary relief if the underlying stress patterns remain unchanged. Buddhist psychology also recognizes specific cycles that perpetuate stress-related back problems. A common pattern begins with a stressful thought or emotion that creates physical tension, which then causes discomfort, which generates more stress about the pain, creating additional tension, a self-reinforcing cycle that can maintain back problems long after the original trigger has passed. Mindfulness practice helps interrupt this cycle by bringing awareness to each component, allowing you to intervene at multiple points rather than being caught in an automatic process. For practical application, Buddhist traditions suggest regularly checking in with your body throughout the day to notice how mental states are manifesting physically. You might pause during work to notice if worry about a deadline has created shoulder tension, or check whether frustration with a situation has tightened your lower back. This body awareness becomes an early warning system for stress, allowing you to address tension patterns before they consolidate into more serious pain. The practice extends to recognizing how different environments and situations affect your stress levels and corresponding tension patterns. You might notice that certain work settings, social situations, or even physical spaces reliably trigger particular mental states that manifest as back tension. This awareness allows you to either modify these environments or prepare differently for them, reducing their impact on your physical well-being. Buddhist perspectives on stress also emphasize how our relationship with time creates physical tension. The habit of mentally rushing while physically trying to accomplish multiple tasks creates a particular pattern of scattered attention and fragmented body awareness that often manifests as back and neck pain. Practices like single-pointed attention and doing one thing at a time help realign mental focus with physical activity, reducing the tension that comes from being physically here while mentally somewhere else. For those with chronic back conditions, Buddhist psychology offers the insight that pain itself becomes a stress trigger that creates additional tension. The initial physical sensation triggers fear, frustration, or worry, which creates muscular bracing around the painful area, which intensifies the pain, another self-reinforcing cycle. Breaking this pattern requires working with both the primary pain and your mental response to it, developing a less reactive relationship with pain sensations. The concept of interbeing in Buddhist thought recognizes how mental states, physical sensations, actions, environments, and relationships all continuously influence each other. This interconnected perspective encourages addressing back pain through multiple complementary approaches rather than seeking a single cause or solution. By working with both mental patterns and physical manifestations, you create comprehensive conditions for relief rather than focusing exclusively on symptoms or causes in isolation. Understanding the relationship between stress and physical tension naturally leads to exploring movement practices that address both dimensions simultaneously. Buddhist traditions have developed various forms of mindful movement that bring together precise physical alignment with meditative awareness, creating powerful tools for releasing chronic tension and preventing back problems. These practices offer accessible ways to incorporate Buddhist principles into active daily life beyond seated meditation. While sitting meditation is the most well-known Buddhist practice, many traditions have developed sophisticated movement practices that serve both spiritual and therapeutic purposes. These approaches recognize that for many people, especially those with back tension, movement-based meditation can be more accessible and immediately beneficial than extended sitting. These practices create a form of meditation in motion that develops many of the same mental qualities as seated meditation while simultaneously addressing physical tension patterns. Tai Chi Chuan and Qi Gong, while originating from Taoist traditions, have been incorporated into many Chinese Buddhist practices over centuries of cross-fertilization between these traditions. These movement systems employ slow, flowing sequences that coordinate breath with precise movements, promoting relaxation, body awareness, and proper structural alignment. The emphasis on moving from the lower body's stable foundation while maintaining a relaxed upper body directly addresses many common patterns that contribute to back problems. What makes these movement practices particularly effective for back issues is their emphasis on whole body integration, rather than isolating specific muscle groups as in many Western exercise approaches. These practices develop coordination between upper and lower body, front and back, left and right sides. This integrated movement helps correct the imbalances and compensations that often develop around back pain, where certain muscles become overworked while others grow weak or disengaged. Tibetan Buddhism offers its own movement tradition called Kumnai, which combines gentle movement, breath awareness, and visualization to release blocked energy and tension. Kumnai includes specific exercises designed to release blockages in the spine and promote energy flow throughout the body. These practices recognize that tension often accumulates at energy junctions in the body, creating physical discomfort that affects both body and mind. By gently stimulating these areas through conscious movement, practitioners release chronic holding patterns that contribute to back problems. A key principle across Buddhist movement practices is the coordination of breath with movement. Each motion is linked with either inhalation or exhalation in ways that support the natural biomechanics of the body. This breath movement coordination directly affects the nervous system, promoting parasympathetic activation that allows chronically tense muscles to release. For people with back pain related to stress and tension, this physiological shift can provide immediate relief while also retraining healthier movement patterns for long-term benefit. Buddhist movement practices are characterized by their mindful, deliberate pace, much slower than our usual hurried movements. This slowness serves several important purposes for back health. It allows you to notice subtle tension patterns that might be missed during faster movement. It gives the nervous system time to release habitual guarding around movement that has been associated with pain, and it allows for precise alignment adjustments that might be overlooked in more rapid activity. Many back problems develop or worsen from unconscious movement habits that can only be identified and corrected when moving slowly enough to bring them into awareness. Another distinctive feature of Buddhist movement practices is the emphasis on moving from the center of the body, what Japanese traditions call the hara and Chinese traditions call the tantien. This lower abdominal region serves as the physical center of gravity and the energetic center of the body. Learning to initiate movement from this center rather than from the extremities promotes integration and balance throughout the kinetic chain, reducing strain on the back that comes from disconnected or poorly sequenced movement patterns. These movement practices develop a quality that might be called moving meditation, the ability to maintain clear, present awareness throughout activity rather than just during formal seated practice. This continuous mindfulness allows you to notice and release tension as it arises during daily activities rather than allowing it to accumulate into more serious back problems. The heightened body awareness developed through these practices helps you catch subtle shifts in posture or movement quality that might signal the early stages of a back issue before it becomes pronounced. What makes Buddhist movement practices particularly valuable for back health is their emphasis on the middle path, finding balance between effort and relaxation, between stability and mobility, between structure and ease. Many back problems develop from imbalance in these complementary qualities, either excessive rigidity that creates compression, or insufficient support that leads to strain. The balanced approach of these movement traditions helps establish sustainable patterns that support back health without creating new problems through extremes of either tension or collapse. For practical application, many practitioners find it beneficial to begin each day with brief mindful movement practice to establish healthy patterns before engaging in more demanding activities. Even 5 to 10 minutes of conscious movement can set a foundation of awareness that influences how you use your body throughout the day. Similarly, brief movement breaks during prolonged periods of sitting or standing can prevent the accumulation of tension that leads to back problems. The benefits of these movement practices extend beyond their direct physical effects. They also develop mental qualities like patience, continuity of awareness, equanimity with changing sensations, and concentration, the same qualities cultivated in seated meditation but developed here through active movement. This makes these practices particularly valuable for those who find seated meditation challenging due to back discomfort, offering an alternative pathway to developing meditative qualities while simultaneously addressing physical tension. While movement practices engage the body directly, Buddhist traditions also harness the power of the mind to influence physical experience through visualization techniques for pain reduction. These practices utilize the mind's remarkable ability to affect bodily sensations through focused imagery and directed attention, moving beyond simply thinking about pain differently. These visualization methods actively engage the mind's capacity to influence physiological processes in ways that can measurably reduce discomfort and tension, especially in the back. Buddhist visualization practices, particularly those from the Vajrayana or Tantric traditions, recognize that the mind doesn't just passively experience sensations from the body, it actively participates in creating our sensory experience. By deliberately generating specific mental images while maintaining focused attention, practitioners can create real physiological changes that affect pain perception, muscle tension, and even inflammatory processes related to back pain. One powerful visualization approach involves imagining healing light or energy flowing through areas of tension or pain. A simple practice begins by settling your attention with a few mindful breaths. Then, visualizing a source of healing energy, perhaps imagined as light, warmth, or a soothing color. During inhalation, you might imagine this healing energy entering your body, and during exhalation, visualize it flowing directly into areas of back tension or pain. With each breath cycle, the visualization becomes more vivid, with the healing energy gradually dissolving blockages, softening tense tissues, and bringing warmth to cold, contracted areas. What makes this approach particularly effective is how it combines multiple elements that each influence pain perception. The focused attention itself redirects neural resources, often diminishing pain awareness. The positive imagery activates different emotional circuits than those associated with pain, fear, and avoidance. The synchronized breathing naturally engages the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting physical relaxation. When combined, these elements create a powerful intervention that works through multiple pathways simultaneously. Research in mind-body medicine has documented how visualization techniques produce measurable changes in physiological processes relevant to back pain. Studies show that guided imagery can increase blood flow to specific body regions, reduce muscle guarding, decrease inflammatory markers, and even modulate activity in pain-processing regions of the brain. These findings confirm what Buddhist practitioners have recognized through direct experience, that visualization isn't merely pleasant distraction but can create real, measurable changes in the body's experience. The Tibetan Buddhist tradition offers particularly elaborate visualization practices involving healing deities like the medicine Buddha. In these practices, the practitioner visualizes the medicine Buddha, typically depicted with blue skin, holding healing herbs, seated above their head. Healing light and nectar are imagined flowing from the deity into the practitioner's body, purifying illness and pain while promoting balance and well-being. The practice typically involves specific mantras coordinated with the visualization, creating a multisensory experience that deeply engages the practitioner's attention. What's important to understand is that these practices don't require belief in specific religious concepts to be effective. From a practical perspective, the detailed imagery, focused attention, positive emotion, and symbolic representation of healing processes are what create the therapeutic effect. Modern clinical adaptations of these techniques use imagery suited to the individual's own conceptual framework while maintaining the key elements that make visualization effective for pain relief. Another valuable visualization approach involves working with the breath as a vehicle for awareness and healing imagery. You might visualize your breath as light that expands throughout your body during inhalation, illuminating tense or painful areas. During exhalation, you might imagine tension, pain, or stagnant energy releasing from these areas, perhaps visualized as dark smoke or cloudy energy that dissipates and transforms as it leaves your body. This breath-centered visualization is particularly accessible for beginners since the breath provides a natural, always available focus for attention. The practice of body scanning can be enhanced through visualization techniques that influence how we perceive sensations. For example, when encountering areas of intense sensation during a scan, you might visualize these areas as ice that gradually melts with the warmth of your attention, or as knots that slowly unravel as you breathe into them. These metaphorical visualizations aren't mere fantasy. They actually influence how your nervous system processes and responds to the sensations being observed. For those with chronic back pain, Buddhist visualization practices offer techniques for working with painful sensations themselves as objects of meditation. Rather than seeing pain as a solid entity, you might visualize it as consisting of countless tiny particles of sensation, all vibrating and moving. This visualization directly counters the perception of pain as solid, permanent, and unyielding, a perception that often intensifies suffering. By seeing pain as composed of tiny, moving particles of energy, its seemingly solid nature begins to dissolve, creating space within the experience. Visualization practices can be particularly valuable during pain flare-ups when physical movement might be limited. These mental techniques provide active tools for working with intense sensations when other interventions aren't possible or sufficient. Many practitioners report that having these visualization methods available gives them a sense of agency even during difficult pain episodes, reducing the helplessness that often accompanies severe back pain. The effectiveness of these practices typically increases with regular use. Like any skill, visualization becomes more powerful with practice as neural pathways strengthen and your ability to generate and maintain clear mental images improves. Many practitioners find it helpful to begin with guided recordings that walk through specific visualizations step by step, gradually developing the ability to generate these mental images independently as their skill develops. For daily practice, even short visualization sessions of 5 to 10 minutes can produce noticeable benefits for back tension. Many people find these techniques most effective when used both preventively, perhaps as a daily morning practice to establish physical ease, and responsively when tension or pain begins to develop. The flexibility of visualization techniques makes them particularly valuable tools, as they can be practiced anywhere, requiring no special equipment or particular physical position. While visualization works directly with mental imagery to influence physical sensation, Buddhist traditions also recognize the crucial role that diet plays in creating conditions for either increased inflammation and pain or greater physical ease and comfort. The food we eat doesn't just fuel our activities, it directly shapes the biochemical environment in which our bodies operate, potentially either promoting or reducing the inflammation that contributes to many back pain conditions. Buddhist dietary principles for reducing inflammation offer practical guidance for using food choices to create conditions for greater physical comfort and ease. Buddhist approaches to diet begin with the fundamental principle of moderation, known in Pali as bojjhani matanyuta, literally knowing the right amount in eating. This principle recognizes that both overeating and undereating create conditions for physical discomfort and imbalance. Excessive food intake places additional stress on the spine and supporting structures, particularly in the lower back, while also potentially increasing inflammatory processes throughout the body. Moderating food intake to what the body genuinely needs reduces these stresses while supporting optimal bodily function. Many Buddhist traditions emphasize plant-based diets rich in natural anti-inflammatory compounds. While not all Buddhist practitioners are vegetarian, most traditions encourage minimizing animal products, particularly red meat, which has been associated with increased inflammatory markers in research studies. Plant foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds contain thousands of phytonutrients with anti-inflammatory properties that can help reduce the biochemical drivers of many pain conditions, including back pain related to inflammation. The practice of mindful eating forms a cornerstone of Buddhist approaches to diet and offers particular benefits for those with back pain. By eating with full awareness, noticing flavors, textures, and your body's responses to different foods, you naturally develop greater sensitivity to how specific foods affect your physical comfort. Many practitioners discover through this attentive eating that certain foods reliably increase their pain or stiffness, while others promote greater ease. This personalized awareness often proves more valuable than generic dietary rules, as individual responses to foods can vary significantly. The principle of ahimsa, or non-harming, extends in Buddhist practice to not causing harm to your own body through inflammatory food choices. This perspective shifts diet from being solely about taste preferences or ethical considerations to recognizing food as medicine that can either support or undermine physical well-being. Foods known to promote inflammation, such as highly processed items, refined sugars, and certain industrial oils, are seen as potentially harmful when consumed regularly, particularly for those already experiencing inflammatory conditions like many types of back pain. Buddhist monastic traditions around the world have incorporated specific medicinal foods and herbs known for their anti-inflammatory and muscle-relaxing properties. Turmeric, ginger, holy basil, and green tea are frequently used in temple cooking, not just for flavor but for their therapeutic effects. Modern research has confirmed the anti-inflammatory properties of many of these traditional ingredients. Curcumin in turmeric, for example, has been shown in studies to reduce inflammatory markers and provide pain relief comparable to some conventional medications for certain conditions. The timing of meals also receives attention in Buddhist dietary traditions. Many monasteries observe the practice of not eating after midday, allowing the digestive system a significant daily rest period. While this specific schedule might not be practical for everyone, the principle of giving your digestive system adequate rest periods has been associated with reduced inflammation. Intermittent fasting approaches, which create defined eating and non-eating periods, have shown promise in research for reducing inflammatory markers that may contribute to pain conditions. Buddhist dietary wisdom includes awareness of how food affects energy levels and mental clarity, which indirectly impact back health. Foods that create energy spikes and crashes or promote mental dullness often lead to poor posture, reduced body awareness, and movement patterns that stress the back. Conversely, stable energy from whole, unprocessed foods supports maintained body awareness and movement quality throughout the day. This connection between diet, energy, attention, and physical movement creates another pathway through which food choices influence back comfort. Traditional Buddhist diets typically emphasize simple preparations that maintain the integrity and life force of foods. Heavy processing, extreme cooking methods, and numerous additives are generally avoided in favor of preparations that preserve the natural qualities of the ingredients. This approach maximizes the anti-inflammatory compounds naturally present in foods while minimizing potentially inflammatory components introduced through processing. Simple cooking methods like steaming, light sautéing, and eating appropriate foods raw help maintain these beneficial properties. Hydration receives particular attention in Buddhist approaches to physical well-being. Adequate water intake supports proper hydration of the intervertebral discs, the cushioning structures between vertebrae that can contribute to back pain when dehydrated. Many Buddhist traditions recommend warm water or light teas rather than cold beverages, based on the understanding that cold drinks can cause constriction in the body. While scientific evidence for temperature-specific effects is limited, the emphasis on consistent, adequate hydration is well supported by research on disc health and overall tissue function. The social and emotional contexts of eating also receive attention in Buddhist dietary approaches. Stress during meals, eating while distracted, or consuming food while emotionally upset is understood to impact digestion and potentially contribute to inflammatory processes. Creating a calm, mindful eating environment supports not just better digestion, but also develops the habit of bringing awareness to how you nourish yourself, extending mindfulness from formal practice into this essential daily activity. While dietary approaches provide one way to address the physical aspects of back pain, Buddhist traditions have always recognized that comprehensive healing often requires multiple approaches. Buddhist practice doesn't exist in isolation from other forms of care, especially when dealing with significant physical conditions like chronic back pain. Integrating Buddhist practice with medical treatment offers a balanced approach that honors both ancient wisdom and modern healthcare advances. This integration isn't about choosing between traditional practices and conventional medicine, but about finding how they can work together most effectively for your specific situation. The Buddhist concept of upaya, often translated as skillful means, provides a helpful framework for this integration. Upaya encourages using whatever methods are most beneficial in a particular context, without rigid attachment to one specific approach. Applied to back pain, this might mean combining meditation practice with physical therapy, acupuncture with pain medication, or mindful movement with surgical intervention when necessary. The emphasis isn't on the method itself, but on what genuinely helps reduce suffering in your specific situation. Many people mistakenly believe they must choose between conventional medical treatment and contemplative approaches to pain. This false dichotomy isn't supported by Buddhist traditions, which generally encourage using the full range of beneficial resources available. The Buddha himself accepted medical treatment when needed and included physicians among his followers. Traditional texts describe how he received treatment from his personal physician, Jivaka, for various physical ailments, establishing a precedent for combining spiritual practice with appropriate medical care. Buddhist practice can significantly enhance the effectiveness of conventional medical treatments for back pain through several mechanisms. Mindfulness practices often improve treatment adherence by helping patients maintain awareness of their treatment regimens and physical therapy exercises. Meditation reduces the stress and anxiety that frequently interfere with healing processes and rehabilitation efforts. Compassion practices help develop a more constructive relationship with healthcare providers, facilitating better communication and collaborative care. The physical relaxation that comes through meditation practice can also directly enhance medical treatments. Many procedures and therapies for back problems work more effectively when muscles are relaxed rather than tense. A regular meditation practice helps create baseline conditions of reduced muscle guarding and tension that allow manual therapies, injections, or other interventions to reach targeted tissues more effectively. Additionally, the improved body awareness developed through mindfulness practice helps patients provide more precise feedback to healthcare providers about their symptoms and responses to treatment. Traditional Buddhist medical systems, such as Tibetan medicine, offer sophisticated approaches to understanding and treating back pain that can complement Western medical care. These traditional systems typically take a more holistic view, considering not just structural factors but also energetic imbalances, emotional patterns, dietary influences, and environmental factors that contribute to back problems. While some aspects of these traditional systems haven't been validated by modern research, others, like the emphasis on mind-body connection and individualized treatment approaches, align well with emerging understandings in contemporary medicine. Buddhist perspectives can be particularly valuable for managing expectations during medical treatment. Many back conditions improve gradually rather than immediately, and some chronic conditions require ongoing management rather than complete cure. The Buddhist understanding of impermanence and the middle path helps patients avoid both unrealistic expectations for immediate, complete relief and pessimistic assumptions that improvement isn't possible. This balanced perspective supports engaging fully with treatment while maintaining equanimity with the ups and downs of the healing process. For those considering surgical interventions for back problems, Buddhist practices offer valuable preparation and support tools. Pre-surgical meditation has been shown in research to reduce anxiety, lower pain medication requirements, and improve post-surgical outcomes. Visualization practices can help prepare mentally for procedures and support the healing process afterward. Mindfulness provides tools for working with post-surgical pain without excessive medication, potentially reducing complications and supporting faster recovery. The integration of Buddhist practice with medical care is increasingly supported by research evidence. Studies show that mindfulness-based interventions can reduce pain intensity, improve physical function, decrease depression and anxiety, and enhance quality of life for people with chronic back conditions. Some pain clinics and rehabilitation centers now incorporate meditation, gentle yoga, and body awareness practices alongside conventional treatments, recognizing the synergistic benefits of this integrated approach. A particularly valuable aspect of Buddhist practice for those undergoing medical treatment is how it helps maintain agency and active participation in the healing process. Rather than feeling like passive recipients of care done to them, patients who incorporate contemplative practices engage as active participants in their recovery. This sense of agency and collaboration often improves treatment outcomes while reducing the helplessness and disempowerment that sometimes accompany chronic pain conditions. The most effective integration typically involves open communication with healthcare providers about your contemplative practices. Many doctors, physical therapists, and other providers are increasingly familiar with the benefits of mindfulness and meditation for pain conditions. Sharing information about your practice allows them to consider how it might interact with other treatments and potentially incorporate complementary approaches into your care plan. If your providers seem unfamiliar with these approaches, providing brief, research-based information might help them understand how your practice supports your overall treatment. Finding healthcare providers who respect both conventional and contemplative approaches creates ideal conditions for truly integrated care. Some practitioners explicitly combine these approaches, like physicians who have mindfulness training or physical therapists who incorporate yoga or qigong principles. Others may not practice these approaches themselves but remain open to their value as complementary elements in a comprehensive treatment plan. This collaborative approach honors both the sophisticated technologies and treatments of modern medicine and the time-tested wisdom of contemplative traditions. For daily implementation, you might develop routines that combine conventional and contemplative approaches in ways that support your specific back condition. Perhaps beginning the day with medication if prescribed, followed by gentle, mindful movement and meditation. You might practice visualization techniques focused on healing before and after physical therapy sessions to enhance their effectiveness. Or you might use mindfulness techniques to work with discomfort between doses of pain medication, extending its effectiveness without increasing dosage. The ultimate goal of this integration isn't just symptom management, but comprehensive well-being that addresses all dimensions of the pain experience. While medical approaches often excel at addressing physical pathology, Buddhist practices offer sophisticated tools for working with the mental, emotional, and perceptual aspects of pain. Together, they create a more complete approach that honors the complex, multidimensional nature of back pain and supports healing on multiple levels simultaneously. While this integration of Buddhist practice and medical treatment provides a comprehensive framework for addressing back pain, many people find that undertaking this journey alone presents significant challenges. The Buddha recognized that community support plays an essential role in the path of practice, and this is particularly true when applying these approaches to chronic pain conditions. Community support and Sangha for chronic pain sufferers offers unique benefits that complement both formal practice and medical treatment, creating conditions for sustainable engagement and deeper healing. The word Sangha traditionally refers to the community of Buddhist practitioners, but in the context of working with back pain, it can be understood more broadly as any supportive community that shares both the challenges of physical suffering and commitment to mindful approaches for addressing it. This kind of community provides several unique benefits that are difficult to obtain through individual practice or medical treatment alone. Perhaps the most immediate benefit of community support is the counterbalance it provides to the isolation that frequently accompanies chronic pain conditions. When back pain limits your activities, makes social engagement difficult, or isn't visible to others, you might feel that no one truly understands your experience. This isolation often compounds suffering beyond the physical sensations themselves. Connecting with others who directly understand the challenges of persistent back pain through their own experience creates an immediate sense of being seen and understood that can significantly reduce this aspect of suffering. In recent years, specific communities have emerged for practitioners with physical limitations, including chronic back conditions. These groups adapt traditional practices to accommodate different abilities while maintaining their essential principles. For example, meditation groups might offer various seating options, including chairs, cushion arrangements, or even reclining positions for those who cannot sit upright comfortably. Movement practices might be modified to be performed from chairs or with limited ranges of motion. These accommodations make practices accessible without sacrificing their core benefits. The shared wisdom within a practice community offers valuable practical knowledge that might take years to discover on your own. Members often exchange information about which cushions provide the best support for specific back conditions, how to modify movements for particular limitations, or which visualization techniques work well for different types of pain. This collective experience creates a repository of practical knowledge that complements both traditional teachings and medical advice with real-world implementation strategies. Maintaining a regular practice during periods of significant pain can be challenging when practicing alone. The motivation and accountability that comes from community engagement helps sustain practice during difficult periods when you might otherwise abandon it. Knowing that others are expecting your presence at a group meeting, or that peers are checking in on your home practice, provides external structure that supports consistency until the internal motivation naturally rebuilds. The inspiration that comes from witnessing others' perseverance with similar challenges can be profoundly encouraging. When you see someone with comparable or even more severe back issues maintaining their practice and experiencing benefits, it directly counters the hopelessness that sometimes accompanies chronic pain. These living examples demonstrate the possibility of working skillfully with difficult conditions rather than being defined or defeated by them. Community practice also offers unique opportunities for developing compassion, both for yourself and others. When witnessing others struggling with back pain, natural compassion often arises more easily than it does for your own suffering. This external compassion can then be gradually turned toward your own experience. Similarly, receiving compassion from others who understand your challenges helps counteract the self-criticism and frustration that frequently accompany chronic pain conditions. Many practice communities create opportunities for formal and informal sharing of experiences. This might take the form of structured discussion groups focused on applying mindfulness to pain, informal conversations before or after practice sessions, or online forums where members can connect between in-person meetings. These sharing opportunities help normalize the challenges of practice with pain while also celebrating progress and insights, creating a balanced perspective that neither minimizes difficulties nor loses sight of positive developments. For those whose back conditions make attending physical gatherings difficult, online sanghas have become increasingly available and sophisticated. These virtual communities offer many of the same benefits as in-person groups, including regular practice sessions, opportunities for discussion, and connections with others facing similar challenges. While they might lack some elements of physical gatherings, They provide accessible support for those whose mobility is limited by pain or who live in areas without local practice communities. The structure of Buddhist community practice exemplifies a balanced approach between self-reliance and interdependence, both essential qualities for effectively managing chronic back conditions. The community provides support, encouragement, and shared wisdom, but ultimately, each person must engage with their own practice and pain experience directly. This balance helps avoid both isolated struggling without support and excessive dependency that undermines personal agency and responsibility. Some communities specifically organize practical support for members during periods of acute back pain or recovery from treatments. This might include meal delivery, transportation to medical appointments, assistance with household tasks, or regular check-ins during difficult periods. This tangible support addresses the practical challenges that often accompany back problems while embodying the compassionate principles at the heart of Buddhist practice. The diversity within practice communities offers exposure to multiple approaches and perspectives that might benefit your specific situation. One member might have extensive experience with mindful movement practices, another with visualization techniques, and another with dietary approaches. This variety allows you to explore different methods within a supportive context, gradually identifying which approaches are most helpful for your particular back condition. For many practitioners, community support creates conditions for deeper healing by addressing the social and emotional dimensions of chronic pain that medical treatment alone often cannot reach. The experience of being fully seen and accepted, even with physical limitations, helps heal the social disconnection that frequently accompanies chronic conditions. The opportunity to support others despite your own challenges transforms self-perception from merely a pain patient to someone who continues to offer value and connection to others. The Buddha emphasized the importance of good friendship, kalyanamitta, on the spiritual path, recognizing that our development is profoundly influenced by those with whom we associate. This principle applies equally to the journey of working with back pain through contemplative approaches. Surrounding yourself with others who share commitment to mindful approaches to pain creates an environment where these practices become normalized and supported rather than seeming unusual or impractical. The benefits of community support extend beyond formal practice contexts into daily life with back pain. The perspectives, techniques, and encouragement received in the Sangha gradually influence how you relate to pain throughout your day, how you talk about it, think about it, and respond to its presence. This extension of practice principles into everyday experience transforms isolated techniques into an integrated approach to living well despite physical challenges. Whether through local groups, retreat centers, online communities, or informal gatherings of like-minded practitioners, finding supportive community creates conditions where the Buddhist approaches to back pain discussed throughout these topics can flourish and develop. While the journey with back pain ultimately remains personal, walking this path alongside others who understand both the challenges and the practices creates an environment where transformation and healing become not just possible but supported and expected.